Hello, how are you guys doing? Thank you so much for making the time. My name is Khadija Telalawa. I am the head of music and talent for Afrofuture and the co-founder for an incubator and label in Ghana called The Continent Live. So the essence of this panel is really to look at the position of African music as the global music space evolves and how we take a permanent space in there. In the past few years, say a past decade, we've seen African music from Amapiano to Afrobeats to Ote music travel and influence global music. We've seen headline African artists, millions and billions of streams, and we can say that African music has come a long way. However, in the past few months, some people would say that there has been a little decline in the craze about African music. And that is not necessarily a bad thing. I think that it's an expected thing. Because when you're a novelty, everyone rushes you. And then with time, you have to find your place. And that's why we're having this conversation. To speak about how do we find a permanent space in the global music industry. The panelists here, most of us have known ourselves for a few years, a number of years. And we've seen how the evolution of African music has impacted and influenced our personal lives, from where we started to where the industry has opened up and put us. I would like to ask my first question, just in one word, each of you, if you can tell me where you think African music, particularly Afrobeats, sits right now. In one word.
We are dangling in America. Dangling.
I'll say in the growth phase. I think we're in a space now where there's that potential decline, but I feel like there's something positive that can come from it.
Growth.
I'd say plateau, but it's not. I wouldn't necessarily say decline, but I wouldn't say growth either. It's just like Kareem said, dangling. Like it's very static, right? But I feel like when something is static, it's like that's a point of evolution, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I would say the same thing. I think it's pretty linear. We have leverage that we're not leveraging yet, and I think that's why we're having this conversation.
It's interesting, but I think that altogether you're all saying the same thing. We are at a point of growth. We are in a bit of a limbo space. We are in a linear space. We are in a stagnant space. Bolaji, I'd like to ask, you have worked with artists such as Ashake that have been able to see growth and transitioned into the global sphere. What do you think we can do differently to ensure that that growth can happen for other artists?
Thank you very much, Khadija. First of all, I would like to celebrate everybody sitting with me on this table. One thing we don't do enough is we don't celebrate ourselves. We don't celebrate ourselves at all. And I want us to see music as what we do and how it relates to the artist, why we matter, should be the first thing I would like us to know. The artist has a management. The management sources for people that would fund the artist. That's where people like me and Larry comes in. Khadija, on the other hand, this lady, like 6-7 years ago, there was no flight to Ghana. And I was with Tiwa then. And Tiwa had a show in Ghana, it was December. We had a military plane coming to Nigeria to pick us just for the show, a military plane. And we didn't go through the real airport. We went through the military base. This was the lady doing this 6-7 years ago. Guess who's sitting beside me? Audiomack, that sponsored the show 6-7 years ago. Guess what? This is Camille here that structured the deal for Benson for the past 5 years. And the funny thing is, all because we don't have forums to meet and tell our stories, we really don't see how close we are as a system. So now, the artist comes with the management. I fund it. When I fund it, I run to Charlotte here, put it on AudioMac for me. Then, I need a lawyer as well to save me. Then, she is the tour promoter. She gives them the show. Can you please give us a round of applause, 5 of us? So tell me, who needs a label when you have instrumental Africans that can do this for them? But the mistake we all do is this. Our fellow Africans forget, they look at the skin and they look at the English. They want to sit in offices where people would speak American English to them and tell them positions. What are the things you're looking for? I'm from Nigeria. She's from Nigeria. He's from Nigeria. We have it back home. But we never gave ourselves that time to we could do this thing together. So that was why I had to say this first, then I'll go back to your question. Asake. For me, Asake wasn't my first. I was one that broke Peru as a record. I was one that reached out to Ed Sheeran. I've done this thing time and time again. The funny thing about artists is, artists to drop an album, go 9 months and come back. Why I drop an album every week for 90 days. By the time they come back, I've not gone on holiday. We are still working, and they are back again. So, Asake is a very sweet story, but because it's something that it's passionate, it's more of passion. We've seen disappointment, we've seen happiness. At the end of the day, when you actually love something, you grow in it, you learn from it, you learn to unlearn. And the truth about it is, you need blessings from God as well. Stars are not created. God's blessing is very, very important. You can't run another person's race, but the most important thing is this. You see the song coming out. A hit record is not made. It is how it's marketed. So I'll put his success more on the kind of marketing we did within a very short space. Thank you very much.
I guess the kind of marketing you did in a short space, that would take me to Charlotte. I know that AudioMac is currently the largest streaming platform on the continent, supporting multiple artists from emerging to the superstars that we've seen today. What are some of the strategic moves and trends that you have been able to employ to ensure that the music travels and it gets to everyone's phone and everyone hears it?
The music gets to everyone's phones? Wow.
That's what you guys are doing.
I feel like it's been a journey, honestly. Like Karim, when he mentioned 7 years ago, we worked with Afrofuture in Ghana. Streaming was very nascent in Africa. So a lot of people would just be sort of illegally downloading music from whatever website that was available at that time. And we were still figuring it out, and we're still figuring out streaming in Africa. And we still are. 7 years later, I wake up every day and I'm like, what are we doing? No, for real. But in the beginning, it was just ideally trying to just make, because it almost felt like music is such a luxury in Africa, right? Where if you can afford it, then you're gonna listen to music if you can. So what we started with was just trying to make people understand the ramifications of sort of downloading music illegally. And this is trying to make fans understand that's the hardest part of the job. You can make an artist and their managers want to make money, right? But fans, to them, it's why am I putting money in someone else's pockets and stuff like that? But it's but this is your favorite artist. Don't you want them to grow? Don't you want them to go from point A to point B and stuff like that? It's kind of hard for for people to like have that sort of like empathy or sympathy when they're thinking, well, I want food in my stomach, so I'm not going to spend $5 per month buying someone else's music while I could spend this $5 buying myself groceries for the week and stuff like that. So you kind of just have to make people understand that. So with AudioMac came like, you could stream the music for free, but with ads, because people are like, oh, well, we don't want ads now, but I have to pay somebody. I'm not just going to give you the music for free, right? So just kind of like making people understand that, and then, partnering with telcos and making sure that people can sort of afford to stream music, because the internet infrastructure kind of fluctuates. It's very expensive. Basically, the craziest expensive internet, I guess, in the world is in Africa. And so again, it's like, I don't have data, so how am I going to stream music? And so we had like offline downloads. Offline downloads on AudioMac sit at maybe 19 to 20 billion now in the continent, just for Afrobeats, right? So just people are able to listen to music even when they're not connected to the internet, but it still counts towards royalties to artists and stuff like that. So offline downloads became such a major thing. But then we were still battling illegal streaming platforms, and then we had to like kind of push them out of the market, like make people understand that you just need to stream, like once you have this app, and you no longer have to like, download music on this sort of like illegal platform, or go and buy CDs. But I think it's still like common in some African countries. Africa is so big, 54 different countries. You can't like touch all those countries at the same time. And it's taken us 7 years to even be able to touch like the major cities and major countries within the continent itself, and working with different artists from those different countries, and flying from one country to another. It's also just like the hardest thing to do, right? You can't. It's easier to fly from London to Conakry, Guinea, or to Dakar, Senegal, than it is to fly from Johannesburg to Dakar. That's how hectic it is, right? And it's going to be more expensive to fly from Johannesburg to Dakar than from London to Dakar. But at some point, somebody has to do it. And just to build that infrastructure, work with these different telcos, take all these meetings and tell them, okay, can you make AudioMac zero rated? What zero rated means is that if you buy this package of data at this price, then whenever you stream music on AudioMac, it's not gonna take up your data. Then you have to go to this telco in Kenya and this telco in Senegal, and what's the most popular telco in Nigeria, and what's the most popular telco in Ghana, and you work with different people, different policies, different cultures as well, because the way people consume music in Nigeria is completely different from how people consume music in Kenya, is completely different from how people consume music in Nigeria, and so on. And so like just kind of being able to understand that culture as well. But like, yeah, telcos are really big in Africa, and just being able to work with them to make sure that people can be able to stream music.
Stream the music.
Yeah.
Lanre, you work with, Orchard, and Orchard is the distributing company for Sony, one of the largest music label globally. But you're in Nigeria, right? And you're discovering artists, you're signing artists, and you're hoping to be able to grow them locally, but also transport and export them to different parts of the world. How does working in the local office and working with your partners, not partners because it's the same company, is it as seamless as we would think it is to be able to call your London office and say, hey, I have this brilliant talent, I know you have this person on your roster, can we get like a feature, and then you get the feature in like a week? Like, is it that easy to be able to, because sometimes it's all these features that really help the music to travel.
That's a loaded question, right? Because I think that there's a lot of cultural context that the West don't actually understand about us as African, right? Especially Nigerians, particularly. One, Nigerians are the most traveled Africans across the continent. There's not one country that you go in the world that you probably wouldn't find a Nigerian. But if you don't find a Nigerian or a Chinese person, then get out of there because there's no money there, right? Right. But in most places, there's a lot of Nigerians there. The culture, the cultural context is a lot of times the people in my office sometimes they use a traditional way of marketing. And I think across all record labels, and I think everybody on this table can kind of attest to that. Even all our big artists, they've gone through major label deals and they've done features, they've done different things, and within those spaces, they've even come back and said, this is not working the way we want it to work, right? Because right now, I think we are starting to move to become the cultural influences of the world, right? With what we are doing. Because if you look at fashion, if you look at the music, if you look at design, you look at art, we started to penetrate those places, but they still looking at us as an African country. So when I'm doing deals and I talk about it, okay, yes, our market might not be the most profitable when it comes to like streaming revenues locally, the money, but if you look at our influence in London particularly, Lagos drives what happens in London. If you think about how things move in London, the people that are controlling, most of those guys are Nigerians or something. They driving what's happening in that space. And I always try to explain to them the diaspora influence, like how even this event and us being here is a diaspora influence from people from Ghana that's running this, right? So in my office, a lot of times we have to double explain, right? And we have to explain the importance of us being able to work across the globe and the importance of us being able to market our music in those places, right? I have artists, so I have an artist now that I look at his back end, I look at the top 4 markets that he's in is Germany, Amsterdam, Italy, and Nigeria is like 5th, right? And 80% of our revenue across the board really comes outside from the outside because our market is still, again, growing, right? So we have to educate my partners or my team on the importance of it and the collaboration. We get in there, and some people get it, but I always look at people to my left, like Bolaji and them. They're a little bit more agile and able to move. And I think from their CEO standpoint, Ghazi, he's been on the continent and he understands how to move, and they have the autonomy to do how they move across Africa, and that's how he's always getting to the deals before me sometimes.
That is true. I mean, I remember when Bolaji used to come to Ghana, go to Kumasi. This was before the break of the Asaka Boys. If you know the Asaka Boys, Bolaji was in Kumasi every other weekend with those boys. And like you said, because of the structure of their label, it's probably easier for him to make those autonomous moves and just move around. Yeah.
Sorry, Khadija, but adding to what Lanre is saying, that thing he's saying was why I never worked for majors. That's the truth, because how does it feel? I have a partner called Eze. He goes, yeah, that's my 5 and 6. We work with Empire together. He used to be the head of Universal. I once asked him that, how do you take decisions? He said he does like 7 meetings and he has like 8 people to speak with about taking little decisions such as budget and stuff like that. Immediately I heard, I'm like, so for me to make a decision for an artist that came from Mushin, or when I say Mushin, like Hood, I'll have to speak to 7 for no. I'm like, hell no. Because at the end of the day, we scout the artist. We brought it to you guys. What you guys have that we don't have is you have the money and you have the framework. You're supposed to listen to us. But the problem is, you take them in, then because they are putting like $1 million, $2 million budget, then Larry would now start to say, speak to the VP marketing, speak to the VP production, they'll now be giving you dates. So what you're supposed to do in like 7 days, you turn out to be 1 month. Then the artist in question does not know what Larry is going through at the back. They will just be looking at Larry is stupid. That's what the artist will be saying. Not knowing that Larry is dying because of them every day, doing meetings. Look at the time difference. The time difference between San Francisco and Nigeria is 9 hours. So this is the way I work. I would attend to artists in Nigeria from 9 to 4. Then I will now start with my colleagues in America from 5 to 12. I did it for 5 years. every day minus Saturdays and Sundays. Now, guess what? A Nigerian artist might tell you he wants to drop a song on Monday. Monday is going to be Sunday in America. Who am I going to call at Spotify to come and tweak it manually? Who am I going to call? You guys in America, trust me, there are a lot of things you guys do that we can't even do. You guys don't work on Sunday and nobody will catch you, nothing. Now, a big artist will say, I want to drop on Monday. Sometimes I will have to wake up just to put my alarm because the song wants to come out. Because there's a lot we go through to get this music successful. Let me touch on point. When Fireboy did Peru, then Ed Sheeran said he needs the translation of everything Fireboy said on Peru to write his verse. I wrote it myself because he was in the studio for 2 hours. I wrote it from top to bottom. But guess what today? The artist might not even remember what I did in 10 years' time. For him to say, he said, what's the meaning? Why was Peru there? He was asking questions. Ed Sheeran is one of the biggest artists ever in the world, and he's going to ask. So his delivery was based off the translation. But who knows that till today, okay, you guys would attest to this. For us to play our music videos from Africa and America, because there are certain things called vulgar, we need to translate the lyrics. Are you going to tell Whiskey to translate his lyrics? Are you going to tell Olamide to translate his lyrics? Saz, Maz, I still do it. I'll give it to someone to do it. The person will not do it as much as I would now. So it's a work in progress all the time. It's like dying for people that don't know you are bleeding.
Camille, speaking of infrastructure, because he just went from talking about writing lyrics for artists whilst they're sleeping. But ideally, once the artist submits the audio, it should come as part of the metadata. It should come with everything, including the lyrics, right? So you're working with African artists that are from different parts that don't understand that there's structure, there's processes, there's procedures. How do you navigate that and ensure that they can bridge the gap and also cross boundaries?
So I think, first of all, education is important. That's why it's good to talk about these things, because first of all, an artist shouldn't even be leaving the studio without discussing them. That's like, everybody doesn't want to have those uncomfortable conversations. Oh, that's my guy. Oh, I think, Bolaji, we know, this is Nigeria. Please, it doesn't matter. Unless we have that infrastructure and set that standard, then we're never gonna grow. People are not gonna come into Nigeria and do work. We can see a lot of majors coming in and leaving, but they're not gonna come in when the infrastructure is messed up, where the deals are, exploitative or whatever the case may be. Like, that's how, let's say, Maven sold to part of their company to United. People are like, okay, they're doing something. They have infrastructure. They respect that. So on the artist side, it's making, and this is across the board, anywhere in the
Not
world.
United, Universal.
Universal. Did I say United?
I was so
I'm
confused.
thinking about my flight. I'm thinking about my flight home. Universal. Thank you.
Don't let them take you to the internet. Instablock.
Sorry, no. It was literally thinking of my flight home. So yeah, but that's how, if we don't have that infrastructure, then what are we really doing? We can say in this 2025 that we still have deals where there's conflict of interest, where, oh, my manager is the same person that's my record label, that's the same person that is, also doing my PR, and your lawyer is one uncle that does real estate. Like, come on. We gotta do better, and we have to do it at home. We gotta do it at home and do it with ourselves, because if we don't respect ourselves, nobody else will.
I'd like to ask, would we all say that as African artists, African labels, managers, we need some strategic partnership in the West to be able to cross boundaries? Or do we think that we don't need it?
Well, for me at this point, I've met so much people and I realized that we all have similar troubles. The only people that can save us is ourselves. I've come to realize that the only thing we get from PR people in the Western world. Okay, don't let me use the Western world. I used to tell people the beginning and end of music is America. Even Chinese wants to blow in America. But Americans don't care if they don't blow in China. UK artists wants to blow in America. So the beginning and end of music is America. And we are in that America right now. This is the America. Now, imagine visiting different labels. I've worked with Tiwa when she was in Universal. I've worked with this one, and I realized that going into each offices is similar troubles. You know what I now realize? I need a you. I need people of our type. There is one thing missing, and I've tried with my colleagues. So there was a time where an African artist had a USPM at Empire. The way the USPM was taking it wasn't the same way I was going to take it. But for the artist to achieve anything, the artist needs someone in America.
Yes.
So it's more like we need people in this room. I can't be in two places. But a case whereby I have someone that understands and is passionate about it. So we need people like us to push us. In as much as you keep putting people that one artist can piss you off right now and say, fuck it, I don't give a fuck about it, move on from it. But for someone like me that know that I'm still going to meet the artist tomorrow in the club, I'll make sure that I'm doing the right thing. So until we start helping ourselves into those places, it's okay, hire this person, hire that person, then we put ourselves in places, we will still keep complaining.
Are we able to?
Sorry, I was going to say one thing before. I think to Bolaji's point, I want to say one thing. I have a little different opinion about America. From a monetary standpoint, I think America is that spot that you need to get to. But from an influence standpoint, I think America is starting to lose some of its influence, right? And I think beyond just music, I think with what's going on with Trump, with what's going on in the country right now, the influence of what America used to have is fading. Right, people don't care as much if you walk in and you say you're American, right? It's almost like a disdain now, like, why are you even here, bro? Right, in a sense. But to Balaji's point, we have to have shared values and people that have passion points that we have and see us and understand what we need, right? Because I think we as Africans, I think our struggles are different. Things that we're going through are different. You have internet, you have everything functioning. There's a guy that's coming from Mushin. There's a survival that he's trying to go through. There's a difference between somebody that has food and somebody that's hungry. These are two different mentalities, right? You both want to eat, right? But but somebody that just needs something to survive, right? Somebody it's two different worlds that you're looking at. And I think when people start to understand us and understand what we need, and you start to understand the contents and the cultural content, now I'll keep going back to that. I think that's where the shared value is. Right, the cultural contents and people that understand and that see us. Because if they see us, then they'll do the work. They'll pick up the call on that Sunday. Because we don't get time off. My sister's here with me today, and every time she's like, "You're always working," because we don't get time off. Yeah. Right? Our hustle mentality is we always working. Right? Because I also know what I'm fighting for with the artist that I'm working for. Right? Because when I have a kid that's from Port Harcourt that has nothing, that when he started recording on his phone, but to be able to put him in a position where he can travel and go somewhere, that to me, I think is serving purposefully when we're able to do that well, right? When you're able to take Ashake from Lagos Island and let him become a global superstar, that is serving purposefully. And I think that's what our work is, right, when we're doing music work, is that.
Yes.
Right? And we need people on the other side to see that and build that connection.
Yeah.
For us.
So when both of you're kind of saying similar things in terms of creating community, right? And when we talk about community, are we speaking about Africans, African in the diaspora, or Black America? Are we able to say that we can open that up, given that Black America wants to know Africa?
I think we can say that. Like, I feel like that's how music moves, right? And that's how people grow, right? My perfect example is this artist from this country called Liberia, Jay Zeno. He used to be whatchamacallit, like a vendor on the streets. So like when the cars are stuck in traffic and he's like moving from car to car selling stuff. And then he made one song that blew up on Audiomack. And, you know, we kind of discovered him and we were like introducing him to different record labels and different people that, because we are just a DSP, so we're like, we cannot take you there, right? We're not a management company, we're not a record label and stuff like that. And so we kind of started introducing him to people. And then he found a manager that is based in LA, right? And recently he did a song that's also really big, but he featured a rapper that he grew up admiring, The Game, right? And so but the manager in LA is not an African, she's Black American, but she managed to introduce him to The Game, and now they have a song, and it's a big song, right? And he's living his dream. I remember when he called me from the airport in Ghana, he was going to America for the first time in his life, and he's calling me, and he's like tears in his eyes, and like, what do I do? How do I act when I get there? And I was just like, you'll be fine. Do you get what I mean? But like for him, this was a dream come true. Now he has a song with The Game, right? And it's a big deal for him. So I do believe that when Larry says that we are, you know, serving our purpose, no man is an island. Like so I meet Kareem does something, the trickle-down effect, Larry passes over to you, and so forth. And do you get what I mean? So we do need the Africans in diaspora, because at the end of the day, that's how Afrobeat blew up and became what it is today. If it's not for people like Amplify Africa, who are throwing African parties and just making sure that the music is being heard, and then, you know, the African promoters who are, you know, bringing, back then it was like 500 people, Davido performing for 500 people. It was always like a Nigerian promoter from Texas or whatever that's bringing him over and whatever. Do you get what I mean? So I do feel like, yes, now it's gotten to that point where it's beyond the diaspora, it's the Black Americans, it's everybody that,
that cares and that
everybody that's interested.
Real quick, on the Black American issue and Africans,
Yes.
I'll say that we suffer from a distorted past of history. And I don't know, there's a lot of, I think a lot of Africans, and probably some African Americans here, I don't know what's the word, but there's a book called Homegoing. There's a Ghanaian author, and I think every one of you guys should try to read that book, because if you start to understand our history and our story and our journey of how we get here, I think it will serve us purposefully, again, to really collaborate and work more together, because if we're not separated, I think they've separated us with ideals, and we continue to push the narrative to saying African American here, Africans here. We know that ideal, not. And there's one thing that I'll say, and then this is particularly in Nigeria. If Nigeria becomes a place where Africans, or it becomes a place where it's successful, I think all Black people globally have now a base to start from. Right, and that's one of the biggest problems, like across the world, that we have, is there's no base, right, that we can go to, and Africa is our base. But because we're so separated, we don't have any connection to how we can make this impact, right? Because if we get it right, you understand. And that book kind of tells the story of two sisters that went to the slave trade. One grew up in the slave trade, another one lived in Africa, and they had kids, and their kids ended up meeting years later. But if you get a chance, read the book, and I think it would put some perspective on how close we are.
In as much as we are trying to go global and make sure that we have a place in the whole music space, is there any fear of losing our authenticity?
Well, definitely yes. And our troubles that brought us here sometimes I feel is still following us. And let me paint it this way. Because you came from the mud, we now found people that can help us clean the mud. While trying to follow what they are doing, we realized that we are even making ourselves dirtier. Because that thing that makes us was that mud.
Yeah.
But when they over polish you, you will now over bleach. So that blackness, do you understand? Like you're scraping your real ideals. I think that problem is battling us. Although back home, it's not easy. I'll give example. Pray for us sitting on this table such that we will not lose our jobs soon. Why? What the artist wants and what they are delivering does not equate. An example. You might have an artist that says, I did a record that had 50 million streams. Then put Central C, that Central C dropped on the 2nd of May. I dropped on the 3rd of May. We are both on 50 million streams. Then the artist start thinking, I'm like Central C. It takes us to sit the person down there. This is your way to hellfire by thinking that way. Guys, 1 million Spotify streams in Nigeria is only $170. 1 million Spotify streams in America can give you $1,700. You know, UK pounds is higher than dollars.
Yes.
Now, I have an artist called Gabsy in the UK. Do I pray Gabsy should have 20 million streams and have $2,000 from Nigeria? Or I should pray Gabsy just have 100,000 streams and give me $10,000?
Yeah, the last
We are battling quantity and reality. Now, going back to what Larry said, the economy of the world is really affecting Africa. If America is not stable, tariffs and all those things, then it affects the economy back home. The financial people that are in the financial market will understand that, dollars and whatever. So when they equate the number of streams that come from Africa, it's going to be nothing. On YouTube, 34 countries out of the 54 countries are not monetized. On YouTube. So when you see all these views, don't die for it though. I have an artist called Chella. I built him ground up.
yeah.
He has the record right now, My Darling. It's big. He was beginning to move. I'm like, yo, come here. I've been in this game for 15 years. I know what I didn't do. Because one thing about music is this. The mistake you made on maybe a Fireboy, don't make it on Ashake. The mistake you made on Ashake, don't make it on the next person. I had to call him that, come and see your back end. Out of your 45 million stream, see, this is premium. This is what you are making. At the end of the day, I'm like, this is what has been spent. This is what you've made. Don't let those noise outside kill you or fool you. We, the executives here, are sitting in front of labels defending the spend. You don't know what we go through. While you keep saying, an artist recently said, I want to drop an album, I want $5 million. I'm like, $5 million. I don't understand. And I slept, and I called him again. He said $5 million. And I had to ask the person that sells him weed, the weed seller. See, you guys, it's critical. It's critical because, see, all of us on this stage, we are a broom. We are a broom. We can move isolated. We can move isolatedly in Africa. But when we get to places like this, in these rooms, we have to come together to tell ourselves the truth.
Yeah.
Abdul worked some, see, Afrofuture, I know, the real Afrofuture I know would have so many artists than this. But guess what? Maybe Abdul or Khadija called them just now, like, okay, how much? They might say, okay, I want $500,000. So it's more like we are dealing with people that they are already killing themselves even before they step out. We keep educating them and we'll keep doing it. But the fact is, how it is back home and what you guys are seeing here, it's not the same. It's not balanced up. Please. And if you are close to a few of them, just tell them to please calm down. It's not the same thing.
It's
I think-
actually crazy monetization in Africa. Just to piggyback on like what he's saying, because a lot of times, like from a DSP perspective, we bear the brunt of you don't pay enough. Literally, like you don't you don't pay.
We need our money.
So,
We need our money.
yeah, where's like I have 100 million or a billion streams on your platform, but where's my money, right? And then my counterparts on my right, both of them, no, I'm joking, but both of them will come and say, well, we can't give you a contract, you know, you don't have licensing for this song in this territory and this. So it then, because at the end of the day, it's not them. Lanre said like they have counterparts in America, whatever, that don't understand the continent, and it's just like, well, let's wake up today and monetize Africa. Yeah, let's monetize Africa, sure. And I hear that every day of my life, every single day for the past 7 years. It's always been monetize Africa, and Africa should make us money. But I wake up every day figuring out the Nigerian naira, the Kenyan shilling, the South African rand, the Ghanaian cedis, the Senegalese CFA, what is it called? Yeah. Yeah, and then the Tanzanian shilling. Nigerian naira is like monopoly money, literally. It is. You can.
But it's true, though.
Explain it better to them.
It's monopoly money. Like, so if I make, yeah. So if I say I made 100 million naira off of streaming in Nigeria on Audiomack, if people subscribed and I got 100 million naira, if I transferred it to dollars, I probably have what?
$10,000.
$10,000.
Yeah.
$30,000.
Yeah.
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 And then now, Lanre is like, well, my artist did. Can you, like, I'm now dividing this $10,000 between your 100 million streams from the biggest artist to the smallest artist. It means now I'm distributing cents, right? Because we don't have one currency, unlike Europe, where it's just the euro. So they have just one currency. That's one. Two is payment systems, right? It's easier for everybody here to use their Apple Pay or their credit cards. In Africa, there's no credit system. Nobody has a credit card. There's no credit. And so everybody that has a bank account in Africa has a debit card.
Actual
So
money.
it means that if there's no money in your account, your Apple Music is not going to work tomorrow, whatever the case may be, right? But at the same time, a lot of international platforms don't accept that African debit card in itself. So we can't even extract that money if we wanted to because the platform is not built for that. Now, I have to then go to each and every African country. So my mom doesn't see me as much as she'd want to. But it's like, I have to figure out, like in Kenya, the most popular payment method is something called M-Pesa, which is mobile money. And try to figure out how I can convince this Kenyan to use their mobile money to pay for music. And that means I have to go to the telco, right? That's the same thing in Senegal as well. They have something called Wave or something like that. And Orange Money, right? And then I have to kind of work with them. The Orange Money team will tell me, well, we have to speak to a francophone in France. And like, what has France got to do with this decision in this part of the continent?
Yeah.
But do you get what I mean? And it's same with MTN in Ghana and so forth. And, you know, so it's almost like my favorite analogy I'm always saying is in Africa, you have a car, you have a beautiful car, you've just bought your car, but there's no road. So you have to build the road, drive a little, build again, drive, build, drive until you get to a destination.
Yeah. Yes. We've spoken about a lot of the pitfalls. We've spoken about a lot of the problems. I think that we can speak about the strategy, the way, step by step. What can we do to move from a little boy in Kumasi who has a great voice, great music, great talent, and to become a global superstar? From where I sit as part of Afrofuture, trying to bridge the gap, trying to ensure that African music travels. I would just say that when an artist decides to move from their locality to another locality, they have to look at touring and live performance as part of their marketing strategy. It's very important because when in the past, 20, 30, 40 years ago, that was the music industry. You drop a record, you start a tour. By the time you get to your fifth, sixth, seventh stop, now the music is big. Now everyone knows it. And that's how we have to look at it. Because the more you tour and the more you travel, more people hear your music, more people know you, you have visibility. That can actually start to translate into streams. So I'd just like for each of you to just pick on something that we think can help push us forward.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off the touring because with everything that's going on with AI and you guys are seeing where music and just creation overall is going, I think there's a lot of jobs that are going to be erased in the next couple of years because these things are growing really, really fast. From Timbaland signing a AI artist and creating music. Music already has become just a tradable commodity that is not, there's no value in it right now, right? Even the jobs that we're doing, as Bolaji said, is something that can become extinct. And we have to be keenly aware of where that's going. So I think, to your point, the one thing that cannot be replaced is the live sector. The live sector is that goosebump that you feel when you're standing in front of an audience and the artist is listening to, an artist is singing and you feel something. You can't replace that with AI because that's the human connection that we have. But I'll say that from two things I'll say from a continent standpoint. I think we as people, we need to find better operators and actually enable our local, because talent is not a problem. There's hundreds and thousands of people in talent. So I know they will say that we are competing, but I don't compete with Bolaji in any way, shape, or form. One, we brothers and we've known each other for over like 15 years. But we have talent across the continent that are incredibly talented. What we don't have is the support to help them see the light. We have managers, lawyers, different people that don't really understand the business fully. They get these artists in bad deals. They don't have strategic thinking to be able to move things forward, and they just don't have the education to do it. So I think programs like this and platforms just helping our artists understand better and putting the right people in place. And some people just coming back and saying, you know what, I'm going to help and do that. I think it'll be super helpful to kind of help grow.
Well, we're trying to wrap up quickly, so.
Basically, I'll use Bona as an example. Bona is signed to us on the African side, and there is just one gimmick. I explained to us when we were standing. Bona is not an artist where you say you are paying influencer for. I tried it recently, and it did not work. Do you know what Bona does? He drops an album this week. He starts touring the next week. The numbers start coming. I will tell you this. The biggest thing that has made money for music is touring. An artist that drops a record or an album that does not tour has failed. And Bona is a blueprint. And if I'm saying a blueprint, this is someone I've worked with before a year. It's not by, the first time I tried paying influencers, I checked what the record made 90 days later. There was no difference. And guess what? I was thinking doing influencer marketing was going to change it. But guess what the difference was? Immediately he started touring. Those numbers started changing. Shazam went high. And the records that I never knew were doing good started doing well. Because the judge, like what Larry said, is perform it. Let people actually love it. And I understand that most of our artists are outpricing themselves. This is the time where you guys need to love your DJs. These days, there are two ways to this thing. If someone says my money is too much, grow up a DJ, have another DJ OB. DJ OB, you can have 70 OB's house. If the artists are seeing that the DJs are taking their place, they will come correct. Please respect more your DJs, love them, give them spaces. An example, if you have 4 hours for a show, an artist can do 2 hours, put 20 DJs that are ready to take $500. At the end of the day, let's come to the reality. The promoter can't be losing. the label can't be losing while you are home
Buying a
smiling with your family. It's not possible.
Buying Ferraris and Bentleys.
Nah, it's not possible. Nah, it's not possible. The funny thing, this is Abdul. Abdul, I've done a lot of things with. 7, 8 years. He's always run. If he's making a loss, me, I'm making a loss, and somebody's buying Ferrari, what are we going to do?
We'll stop, walk
Wonderful.
close, and go home.
Thank you.
Charlotte,
I want
yeah.
to interject really quick because that was a very great segue to introduce Abdul Muhammad.
Give him a round of applause, please. Abdul.
He is the founder of Ghana Graffiti.
Hello. Jordan.
What?
Okay.
Man, I was like hoping Abdul just takes the microphone. I was like, I got nothing for y'all.
I just wanted to help paint the picture. You guys are. He's just gonna join your panel.
Yeah, I think like Lauren said it, educate. I think like a lot of like, especially in Africa, a lot of people that are part of the system are also like part of the problem because a lot of people don't understand the business side of things. It's always like, yeah, you're talented. I'm your best friend. I'm gonna be your manager. Let's go. But it's like, what are we doing? We don't know. Like, we don't know the contracts that we're signing, etc. But I feel like also just like having so that education from like the business standpoint of things, having people that actually have that understanding of. For me, it's always like I want your business manager to like have an MBA, like no, for real, like I want your accountant to be an actual accountant. Do you get what I mean? So just a lot more people who are qualified professions to also qualified professionals to lend their professions into the music industry, right? Because it's always been looked at as a sidetrack to everything else. You are meant to be an accountant, you're meant to be a lawyer, but not a lawyer for an artist, no. Like a lawyer for real estate, yes. Do you get what I mean? But like that kind of stuff,
Yeah, so having more people from the diaspora also come home to help train, to help share information as well is also very key. Camille?
Yeah, I agree with that fully. Like, I moved to Nigeria 5 years ago, and I didn't know what I was doing. It took me time to learn what I was doing, understand that a lot of people don't know what's going on here. But not only having those people, but also, I think what DJ Obi said earlier, be the CEO of your business. You have to know what's going on as an artist. That's what's going to justify, oh, I want $5 million, but you don't understand where you are as far as recoupment. So, like, because those streams that you have do not equate to the same amount of money, but you were happy when you got the money in your pocket. So now the artist, the label has to make their money back. So understanding recoupment, understanding, okay, I have to register my copyrights. I advise my clients, register your copyrights in the US. Because we don't know, but we have something called COSAN in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
do?
Enough said. So registering your copyrights, actually reading your agreements. ChatGPT is not gonna do it. It's not gonna do it. Please, I beg, please.
Yeah,
So just
thank you
that.
so much, Camille. I'd like to say thank you to all of you for joining us. And also thank you to all our panelists for sharing all the gems, sharing all their knowledge. Again, we are one family, we are one community. If we come together, we share the knowledge that we have, we share the context that we have, we believe that we will continue to grow as a continent, as a genre, and everyone will get money in their pockets. Thank you.
Amen.